Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the first episode of the Growth Modes Conversation podcast here in 2023, here in our new studio that we've had for a while, but we haven't actually used it for a podcast, believe it or not. But here we are, and we've got a great guest, somebody that I've known now for a few years and worked a lot with. Incredibly interesting guy who works for a very interesting company that I feel like not a lot of people in the area necessarily know about, which is why we're doing that. But as we jump in, I do this thing on this podcast where I ask the guests to introduce themselves. Tell us who you are and what you do, please.
Good day, everybody. I am Sam Fanizzi. I'm currently the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Microwave Filter, which does not support microwave appliances.
That's the key message I'd like to get across when people see this company as they drive by in East Syracuse. Yeah. Microwave Filter Company, and you immediately think of your microwave oven. But that's not the type of microwaves we're talking about, right? What is it, Sam?
The reality is we get a lot of call for microwave ovens, but our product supports the RF microwave world, meaning, for example, this podcast that may get sent out into the world. If you've got radio interference, we make a filter, which could look like this, and that filter would be placed on a satellite dish, and it could do anything from blocking interference, blocking a signal so that our transmission can come through, or it could allow a signal to pass through. There's a lot of variations to that as well, but really we support the RF microwave industry, private sector, government, and military.
So when you say filter in microwave filter, you're talking about filtering out radio signals and things like that.
Exactly.
Is that accurate?
Exactly, yeah. Yes, that's correct.
And what's really neat is Sam picked up one piece. This is an actual filter, right, that you make right here in town in East Syracuse. And this interestingly shaped hunk of metal, it accomplishes that task. It filters out radio signals somehow?
Keep in mind, there's thousands of varieties for all different applications. This particular filter we use for mobile terminals. So this would be a satellite dish or satellite terminal that could go on top of your car, your camper, could go on a boat, it could be placed on top of a mountain. So the word mobile means it's pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
And the reality is that filter is one component of a system that allows the user to gain internet access wherever they are.
I see.
This particular one is developed for a large OEM here in the United States, an original equipment manufacturer that we partner with. And it is supporting mobile applications globally at this point.
Wow.
It's pretty cool to think that you could be in the middle of the Adirondacks or maybe out in a boat in the ocean and you want to watch this podcast so you can need internet access. That filter would help the system that you use accept that broadcast.
That's awesome. That's really interesting. And so basically what you're saying is any of this type of stuff needs this type of filter, right? It needs to block out the interference. I feel like if folks, and maybe we're really dating ourselves, but when you used to really pick up radio and TV channels over the air, right? You'd be scanning through and you can get that kind of bleed one into the other. This type of thing, and correct me if I'm explaining this right, this would filter that out, right? So you wouldn't have that bleed. It keeps the signals clear and on the frequency that you expect.
That's a good explanation. The one that I use, growing up in the 60s and 70s, we listened to a lot of radio. At that time, AM was very popular. But late at night, you would pick up radio signals. You'd hear Cincinnati, St. Louis, and Cleveland and be like, well, how am I listening to a radio station that far away? And those signals got crossed as the evening went down and the traffic,
Sure.
The RF traffic, if you will, decreased. These filters, and there's many options, keep those signals projected, keep interference out. The reality, a lot of what we do we call them mitigation filters, which means they're blocking out any interference to allow your application to be heard and seen. Very important in, let's say, for EMS, emergency services. In that application, government and military have obvious needs for that. But there's a whole lot of private sector. For example, there's many religious organizations now that broadcast, go on TV on a Sunday and see broadcasts from all over. And some of those have thousands and thousands of recipients. So each of those satellite dishes that are out there could use a filter like that or maybe something like this to ensure that signal is sent out properly and more importantly, received properly.
Wow.
I think you remember back when cable TV first started, I think that was in the early 70s, and we had the brown boxes with the long cords.
Sure.
You had the little button that you went up, top 15, lower. That technology has obviously changed, and as technology changes, the need for more products comes into the market. These are just a couple of thousands of different options. But keep in mind that the filter is one piece of a system.
Yeah.
There's much more involved in it, but it's a pretty critical piece. So yeah, we're here in East Syracuse. We've got a 40,000 foot facility right around the corner. We do our own manufacturing. We have a paint shop. We have engineers. We have testing. We do everything in-house. And we do have some vendor partners here within the U.S. that work with us on some of our larger projects. But everything's manufactured in the United States. And I know we have a nice Made in America video out there if anybody's interested in looking at it that just highlights the fact that we're American born, we're American grown, and we're supporting everybody here.
And just so folks know, is this a startup company or is this been around for a few years?
Microwave filter's been around since 1967.
Wow.
So they've gone through many iterations of where maybe the cable industry was very strong. And as that's gone more digital and started to decrease, now the RF industry has jumped into play.
The company made cable boxes at one point, right?
Cable boxes, we supported.
Back when we needed those.
Building satellite dishes. So we've gone through many iterations of products that we've manufactured, and it really is dependent on what the market's calling for.
Sure.
We're very responsive. It's not like you can walk into Matt's place and say, hey, do you have interference? We have a filter. The reality is customers come to us when they have a problem. If someone put up a satellite dish within a couple hundred feet of your building, you might now start to experience interference, in which case we could supply a filter that would block that out. And we're very responsive in that way.
That's great. So one thing I want to mention right along the lines of what you're talking about is we hear a lot of buzz around town about JMA Wireless and all these companies that are really booming and growing thanks to 5G. Microwave filter's been real busy in the 5G arena for the last few years as well, right?
Yes, we have. Our part, and you mentioned JMA and a few others, those companies all have different parts of these systems. Some might help produce products that will help that signal be sent out. Our position is that we make a filter, and it just happens to be this particular model right here. This filter gets applied to a satellite dish. And really what it does is it blocks the 5G signal. So we call it a mitigation filter.
So you're the anti-5G.
I guess you could look at it that way. The 5G signal is very strong. And what happens is the strength of that will sometimes overpower other signals. So what we do is we push it to the side and keep it out of the way. Once again, you're going to see a lot of use in that, not only in the private sector, TV, radio stations and such, government and military applications, EMS. A couple of years back, there was discussion that airport altimeters might be interfered with because of the 5G signal. They were actually debating whether they should launch the signal or hold off.
Sure, I remember that.
The filter applications were able to prove that we could launch 5G safely and not have it fear with the airlines.
That's great.
Most of our work to this point has been with U.S.-based companies. However, over the recent 12 to 18 months, we've expanded. We're now working on applications and supporting places like Brazil, Australia, India, Africa. As the 5G signal launches globally, those folks will find that they need some support for that. And they develop a frequency range that they're going to use, and we take those specifications that they give us, and our engineers go to work, and they develop the products that are needed. They go out for testing. Once they're approved, then we start production.
I think that's a real interesting tidbit right there that I didn't realize is we talk about 5G, that's not necessarily the same frequency all over the globe. Different places can set different kind of parameters on what we all know as 5G. So it's not just a matter of you can now sell this unit in other countries. You actually have to come up with a different model that's tweaked a little different for these different places in the world. Is that accurate?
Not only for 5G, for pretty much everything that's out there. There's different frequency ranges. This particular filter here, I don't know if you can see it, it says 3820 to 4200, which we call a red version. It's the phase 1 version. And everybody that can move within that frequency range is getting filters to block the signal. Then the blue part is 4000 to 4200, which will become the new frequency range for the United States and North America. The filter also does that. So we make two filters, same size. They use the red in the beginning application, then when they go to phase 2 and the signal changes, they go to the blue application. However, for example, our filter for India is completely different. Our filter for Brazil is completely different. It really does depend on what frequency range each country adapts to. And then there's a lot of parameters within those ranges that are more the technical side.
Sure.
Our engineers work with the end user to determine, and then we develop and manufacture.
That's great. So Sam, I love hearing about that company, and we're going to make sure in the notes and everywhere we've got the links to the company website where folks can learn more about what you do and also reach out for any, I think you probably have some job openings from time to time. Sure. And it's a great resource if you're a local person that wants to get into manufacturing, and I think they probably have a wide variety of positions at different times. It's a great local company to check out that obviously has been here a long time, so it's one that you can be confident in. But let's talk about you. You didn't spend your whole career at MFC. Let's talk about you for just a little bit. You've always been in the sales world, though, right? Can you give folks a little bit of background on Sam?
We went back to the late 70s selling Electrolux vacuum cleaners door to door.
Oh, wow.
We would be here for a while, but yes, I've been in sales since the late 70s. I did a bunch of odd sales jobs, and then in '83 I started my career with the U.S. Postal Service. I was on the retail side there, not a carrier. And around the late 90s, I was asked to move into their sales department, which most people didn't even know they had. But the reality is pretty much every business and every person uses the Postal Service, whether they use it to ship a package or to mail a letter.
Sure.
So I was part of that sales team for the last 20 years or so that I was there. And had a Northeast area sales team that covered all of upstate New York.
Oh, wow.
A couple 100,000 customers. Keep in mind, everybody used them.
Sure.
So there was a lot of work involved there, a lot of travel. I retired from the Postal Service after 35 years with them in 2017.
Wow.
Spent a couple weeks at home and then saw an ad for Microwave Filter that they were looking for someone in the relationship management arena, and was fortunate enough to be hired, and I've been with the company ever since.
That's great. That's great. Now, you've been also an entrepreneur as well, right? You've had some retail ventures and things like that?
Yep. Was working in the sports card world in the late 90s, actually in the late 80s, and eventually got a partner, a friend that was doing card shows at high schools and malls.
Okay.
And we opened a small retail store. That turned into a larger retail store and eventually became 5 retail stores, 4 of which were in New York State. One was in North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
We specialized in a product called Kenner starting lineups. They were small 7-inch plastic figurines.
Okay.
Very strong market, a lot of enthusiasm. We did national trade shows throughout. We shipped probably 50 to 100 boxes per day.
Wow.
And at that time, the web use and internet sales weren't as strong as they are now. So we advertised Backpage and inserts in most of the trade journals.
Wow.
Spent thousands of dollars to do that every month, but the phone rang constantly. We ended up here in Syracuse in what is now Destiny, but was at the time Carousel Mall. And we were there for 14 years in that retail environment.
Wow.
So it was pretty exciting. We did a lot of traveling, met a lot of cool people, had a lot of fun with it.
And that was kind of your side job,
Yeah,
right?
we did that. I did that alongside working a full-time career with the Postal Service.
That's incredible.
But I found that working that much obviously helped our family situation and kept me out of trouble. So there was, plus the interaction with people is really where I think I excel, but it's really the fun part of what we do.
Sure.
To talk to, whether it be with filter applications or Postal Service or even retail, to talk to somebody about what they like and what they want to do and why they want to do it really helps explain whether or not I have or our company has products and services that can support them.
Yeah.
And getting to that point with a client is not as easy as it used to be, because knocking on doors was acceptable many years ago. Nowadays we're using email and phone. How many messages do you get that are, we'll call them spam related, but
Sure.
really not effective? So my personal enjoyment comes from that face-to-face interaction with a client and asking those tough questions. What do you do? How do you do it? And why do you do it?
Yeah.
If we can get those 3 answers, especially with the company that I'm with right now, we can come up with a solution for everybody, and those are the critical elements. So that's the real fun part of it all, is that customer interaction.
Yeah, I love that. I think people want that so much. We've made that a cornerstone of our business as well, as that personalized and in-person service, especially like in the IT world. So many people want to do everything 100% remotely. And we find it's best. We want to put a person in your building on a regular basis and see you and help you one-on-one. And I think folks just love that. So it's great to hear that you find that in all kinds of things.
I would think in your world, similar to ours, you have to be very reactionary to customer need. And one of the things that I found is that when someone calls, we answer the phone.
Yeah.
So we do have an automated phone system, like I'm pretty sure you do.
Sure.
But the reality is, if it's during business hours and we're there, we're going to answer the phone. And customer interaction and customer service is critical. And with more people going remote due to whatever,
Yeah.
whether it be COVID related or whatever it may be, the need for your services I can see growing incredibly.
Absolutely. So, Sam, if you were to offer advice to a young person or maybe somebody who is in a career and thinks, there's all these sales opportunities, maybe I want to get into sales, what would be a couple of key pieces of advice you would tell anybody?
Interesting question. Sales is complex and it's easy at the same time. The reality is, if you're comfortable with customer interaction, sales can be a great game. And if it's fun, it becomes a little bit easier. There's a pretty big difference in the sales world. Prospecting is going out and looking for opportunity is one piece of it. Closing the sale is a completely different one. So if you're one that can ask questions and gather information and then pass that to somebody, then your game is probably going to be on the front end of sales. If you're what we'll classify as a closer, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to lock the deal down,
Sure.
We're going to make a big deal, we're going to have a good time with it, then sales is the other side that you would go into. But there's so many opportunities now. What I would advise would be to look for products and services and opportunities that have future growth. Once again, our company, been around for going on 60 years. There's almost always going to be a need for this type of product. There's great opportunity there. There's a long future. And with technology and IT support, I can see those growing.
Sure.
The retail industry has had some changes.
Right.
Brick and mortar is starting to dwindle a bit. And actually, I was reading up that the number one brick and mortar company right now, I think it was Dollar General.
Yeah, I believe it.
Opening so many locations, They were the fastest growing brick and mortar. It really just depends on the talent and the skill level of the person, and really more so what they're comfortable with. You can't put someone that has great product knowledge and understanding into a sales role because they're not going to be able to transition it. That's why for our company, we have engineers, we have technical advisors, we have salespeople, and each one of them do an independent role.
Yeah.
You need to figure out what you're good at, what motivates you, and then you need to move forward in that arena. But anything that's computer-driven, technology, that's the arena to be looking in. Great opportunity. You're talking career for life.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
No, I know, especially in our business, how much value a good salesperson would bring. And that's the thing, is if you are good, you are in such high demand that I feel like you can write your own paycheck for as long as you want to do it.
Absolutely.
So good for them. Sam, anything else before we close out today that you should mention or tell folks to check out about yourself or Microwave Filter or anything we've talked about today?
Once again, MFC is a company that supports companies in need. It's not like we could just knock on doors and be selling our product. However, our focus in the future is going to be on the OEM manufacturing side, and we partner with some of the largest federal contractors in the world, companies like General Dynamics and Lockheed Martin and Leidos, and we can name them all, but
Sure.
It doesn't matter. That's where our focus is going to be.
And so by OEM, you mean you're going to make a piece that's going to go into their bigger piece.
It could be part of the
Bigger
system.
product.
We're working on an application right now where the customer outright told us the other day the filter is going to be the most expensive and most important part of the project.
Wow.
If we've got a few thousand that we need to deliver per year, we need to do some heavy workload there. But that's why we have design, engineering, consultation. Whatever the project is, you're free to call us. Our consultation services are free. There's no cost to you. But we will no bid jobs if they're not mutually beneficial. That's the one thing about work, is that the project needs to be mutually beneficial, because a one-sided deal doesn't work for anybody.
Right.
But we're available for consultation. You can look us up on the internet at microwavefilter.com. My information is up there if you need to reach me in sales at all, or someone can contact you. As far as hiring, we're always looking for the best and the brightest talent. We appreciate anybody that has interest in us, and you're free to give us a call at any time. Our appreciation for allowing us a few minutes to come in and talk to you.
Sure.
And it's been pretty interesting, and hopefully this works out well for us.
I think it will. And on that note, I want to thank everybody for listening, watching, whatever you're doing here to the Growth Mode Conversations podcast. It is our goal to have a lot more of these episodes out on a more regular basis, so stay tuned to that. You can find it on all of our social media platforms, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of them. Just look for Growth Mode Tech, and you will find us. And with that, we'll see you next time.